Hello everyone, and welcome back to another full self-driving video. It's been quite a bit of time since I last posted, and in today's video I'll be using Tesla's public build of full self-driving that still relies on radar and cameras to pilot the car. So what you're seeing today is the software that the majority of Tesla FSD equipped vehicles are still using, and there is a growing number of no radar Model 3 and Model Ys which rely solely on Tesla's proprietary Tesla Vision for FSD, and an even smaller cohort of those cars that have Tesla's FSD Beta. And the Beta is capable of making turns, so for today, anytime that I have to make a turn, you'll see me disengage autopilot as my car doesn't have the FSD Beta. So sit back and relax, and I'll walk you through our drive today as I call out some of the strengths of FSD, as well as the many areas of opportunity that Tesla's public FSD still has for improvement. And I want to take a quick moment to also say that I'm truly humbled by the growth of Kilowatt Auto over the past several months, and as we approach the 1,000 subscriber milestone, I want to reaffirm my pledge to continue to provide you with informative and useful videos. So as the car approaches the traffic light, it will display that it's going to stop for traffic control ahead. And because there is no leading car in front of me, I will need to help the car identify that it's safe to proceed through the intersection. And in this case, all I need to do is apply a little pressure on the accelerator and the car will proceed through the intersection without any issues. And for those of you who may be new to autopilot, you can tell it's active by the blue steering wheel symbol on the screen and the blue lane lines on each side of the car. Traffic light and stop sign control has been a feature of FSD for quite some time now, and the car's ability to identify traffic light color and changes has been extremely accurate. And I've never had the car display the wrong color on a traffic light, and the only edge case situations I have experienced were in the city at unusually shaped intersections with multiple traffic lights. And the next several traffic lights don't have a leading car, and I'll have to apply pressure on the accelerator each time to let the car know it's safe to continue. And if I did not interact with the car, it would come to a complete stop at each intersection regardless of the light color. As I mentioned earlier, this is Tesla's public version of FSD, and in order to continue on my route, I will have to hit the turn signal so the car moves into the appropriate lane. And if my car was equipped with the Beta, it would have done this automatically. And the next several lights all have no leading cars and require my interaction to proceed. And finally, the car will come to a stop once it recognizes the red light. Slowing and braking has become much smoother over the last several iterations of full self-driving, and in the beginning the process of stopping for a light or stop sign was pretty erratic about 50% of the time. And from the few videos I have seen on Tesla Vision, it seems that most drivers are finding that the stopping process is even more refined with the Vision-only system. Once the light turns green, all I have to do is tap the accelerator and the car will begin driving again. And ramping up to speed is still a little slow sometimes, but at this light, the car gets up to speed nicely and carries on as usual. And up ahead, the car does try to take a turn, and this will be the first time on the drive that I'll have to disengage autopilot due to safety concerns. The car recognizes well in advance that there is a stop sign ahead in what is essentially a T intersection. And the car on its current software should not be able to proceed, but in this case, you'll see that the lane lines ahead are mapping the car towards the right turn. So for the sake of experimenting, I am going to let the car attempt the intersection, and I press down on the driver's stalk, and you'll see that about halfway through the turn, the car gets confused and asks me to take over. So at this point, I'll pull the wheel to the right, which automatically disengages autopilot and prevents me from drifting into the oncoming lane. So this whole interaction nicely showcases the limits of public full self-driving. And I was not expecting the car to be able to handle this turn, but it's interesting to see that even on the public build, the car is mapping the direction of the roadway and seems to have a tentative plan for how to proceed. This intersection is also going to be a problem for the car as it's pretty nebulous and doesn't provide the cameras with a clear path forward. And I don't like the car's current heading, so as I pull right on the steering wheel, you'll see the car drop out of autopilot. And And this is a classic example of where the car probably would have performed okay, but as the one monitoring the system, I was uncomfortable with how close my vehicle was getting to the other cars. And finding the balance between letting the car perform and taking a corrective action is something I think about quite a bit, as autopilot is relying on neural nets that are going to help the car learn and become a better driver. And ultimately, the car's performance is going to rely on collective data. And I think it's important that my inputs are recorded when I'm in an uncomfortable driving situation. And so most of the time I will intervene in gray area situations so that an intervention is recorded by the system rather than letting the car perform dangerously and validate that action as acceptable. Now, will my inputs as one driver really have any effect on the overall performance of FSD? Probably not, but at the very least, I'll still be doing my best to be a responsible user of self-driving. Once again, you'll see me turn off FSD in order to make a right turn, and then on this new road is where you'll see the second disengagement due to a safety concern, in this case for some wildlife. So as we approach, you can see there's a group of geese walking across the road, and one of them is pretty far into my current lane path, and looking on the screen, you can see that the car does not seem to be recognizing anything in the road. So to avoid any impacts, I am going to pull a wheel to the left, which will disengage autopilot and prevent us from hitting any of the birds. And I was honestly pretty surprised by this situation. I know the car can display dogs, but no other animals with this current software, so I was not expecting anything to show up on the screen. However, I was expecting at least a frontal collision warning or some type of indication that the car was not planning to drive through the birds. And this also brings up the complicated task of how the car has to decide whether it's safer to swerve or stay the course. And Tesla has stated that the prime directive of FSD is not to crash, but in this case it seems pretty apparent that a collision was imminent. So it's honestly hard to say whether the car was looking at it from the perspective of safety, or it simply did not recognize that anything of consequence was blocking the road. So for the rest of the drive, I don't have to intervene other than to make a turn, and overall, the full self-driving suite does seem to be a bit more stable in today's drive. And with Tesla's recent announcement of the full self-driving subscription, I have a feeling a lot more people will be trying out FSD, which will hopefully enhance the rate of its progress. And if you're considering buying FSD or the subscription and want to take a more detailed look at what's included with FSD, I'll link a more detailed video above. But this will bring us to the end of today's video. Thank you again to all who are supporting the channel and subscribing. I'm hoping for an expansion of the FSD beta in the coming months, and we'll talk again soon.